Okay, I'm working on my 2002 Mazda Tribute here today. This has the 3.0 V6 in it, and we're going to be showing you how to replace the starter and get to all this. Now, the first thing that I've done is I've just got the battery out, and you just have the clamp with a couple of 10 millimeters there. So I went ahead and got that out of the way. And the next thing that I'm going to focus on is look down in here. You can see 4 of these 7 millimeters, and we're just going to go ahead and take all 4 of those out, and it's just going to clear up more room. It's not a big deal. It's just 4 of these, and it'll get this whole unit here out of the way. So we're just going to go ahead and do that next. Okay, so we've just took and got those completely loose. They're not very tight. I'm just leaving them in here for now, and we can just lift this whole thing up and out of here, and you see it's got a little spout on it right there, a little drain spout or whatever, and it just kind of fits down in that hole. So we'll just set this aside. Okay, and the next thing we're going to focus on is this airbox. And instead of, we could unsnap it here, but it'll just be easier to go ahead. You can see there's a rubber grommet down here, and there's also one that's going to be on the back that kind of snaps down into. We also have a 10 millimeter right there. So the first thing, we'll just go ahead and get that 10 millimeter. Okay, I just laid that up there. It's that 10 millimeter. And now we'll go ahead and just going to unsnap this here. And now we're going to get over here with our 8 millimeter and just get this loose. And the next thing, we're going to have to pull these off. Now you'll notice that these are really dry rotted and brittle. So what we'll want to do is, while we're at this job, is replace this stuff. You don't want to leave anything like this that's going to be future problems for you. But you can see how bad this stuff is. And then there's one down here as well, and it's got a big old hole in it. So we could either get another elbow or figure out something there to fix that. Another piece of a bigger piece of hose, and then slip it into another and just bring it up a little higher, or we can actually find an elbow to fit that. But anyways, with those loose, we can go ahead and just wiggle this off of here. And now with that, we can just pull this up in this whole unit, and you'll notice right here, just be careful because it slips inside that. Don't get too rough with it, but it slides right out of that. So we'll just go ahead and set this aside, and you can see how much room that we've cleared up. And now with that out of the way, we can actually get down here and see our starter in under here. Starting to see how, this is setting in here, and then we can go about getting to it. Okay, so if we look down in here, we can see our bolts. Let's see if I can point at it here. It's right. Can't really get it angle here. It's right there. You can see that at all. That's a 13 millimeter. Here's a little 1/4 inch locating dowel. And if we come to the back, we can see the same thing. We got a 13 there, and then the locating dowel. So that's all we have holding this. Now you'll notice that we've got a lot of stuff running over the top of this, coolant hoses and everything. Now obviously we don't want to disturb any of this stuff and have a lot of extra work, so we're going to have to work around this. And same way with our wires that are on the end there. Now we could get in here and probably get those, but we're just going to wait on that until we get the starter loose. So the first thing I'm going to do, I just got a 13 ratchet wrench, and I'm going to get down in here and start working on this first one that I showed you. Now it's kind of tight, but you can get in here, and you know, if you have to come up under here or whatever, and that's how I'm going to do it. Now keep in mind that sometimes these bolts can be really tight, and you may have to get you some more leverage on there to get it loose. Now I've already broke that loose just below this little ratchet wrench, so it wasn't too bad, but we still got the back one. So said you may have to get creative, get another wrench on the end of that wrench to break it loose, whatever you need to do to get some leverage on it if it's really tight. Well, this in here wasn't too bad, so you can see it real easily right there. You may have to get farther back here with an extension to break it loose, but I'm going to go ahead and work on that one right there first. Okay, and just to show you, this is where I've positioned my ratchet wrench, and I'm just working it. Now all I'm going to do, because it's fairly loose, is just going to get both hands in around this and just kind of work it the rest of the way loose with my fingers. I'm just going to get use both of my hands, and you'll also want to have you a little magnet so you don't drop it down in there. But like I said, it's really loose, and I'm turning it with a couple fingers here now. Okay, and there's that first bolt that goes into the front part, and so don't mix them up. Okay, for the back one, it's quite a bit tighter. I'm using this big 1/2-inch ratchet and just a 13mm socket, and just going right back in here and getting to it from the back side. It's real easy to get to, so we're going to go ahead and just take this one out now. Okay, and there's that back bolt, and you can see that it's different from the front one, a little bit longer. So now we're ready to go ahead and lift this up off of the dowels, and we're just going to kind of wiggle it around. So be mindful of your connectors and stuff, and don't damage anything, but basically we're just going to wiggle this around until we can get it worked loose. It's just kind of hanging up on these hoses a little bit, but we should be able just to lift it up here like so. So let me free up my other hand, and I'm just going to get this thing pointed upwards here. Okay, and you can see we've just nosed this thing upward here, and you can see right here that we've got a 13 that we got to get, and then over here we've got a 10mm, and I'm just going to use a deep socket. So all we need to do is get both of those loose, and then we're able to get this piece off. So let's go ahead and get this 13, and then we'll take this 10 over here, the smaller one, loose to the side, and we can, like I said, we can move this up here quite a bit. We got some hoses in the way, but we can pull this up here as we need it at this point, since it's completely loose. And you can see see how it sits down onto the flywheel there. Okay, so here we've pulled this up here. We got that 13mm off, and we just set it up here, and now we're just getting ready to get this 10mm that's right here now. And I've just got it kind of pulled up here, and we've got it loose, so we're going to just go ahead and take that on off of there. Okay, and there we got that 10mm off there. So now we'll be able to should be able to work this off of here. Okay, so you can see that I've just pulled that up and off of those studs there, and now this thing is completely going to be completely free here, and we'll just kind of work it up and through here just somewhere. Okay, and here's a view of it out of there, and you can see those locating pins. And you can see how it just bolts down with those top bolts there to the flywheel. And said that just, once you get those loose, it just slips off there, and just put it back the same way. But we've got it off of there, and as far as putting it back, it's nothing special. We just kind of have to wiggle it and slide it and get it back into place there. But overall, it's really not too difficult in fitting it up through here. Not too difficult at all. Definitely couldn't see taking anything more loose to be able to get it out of there, unless you just absolutely had to, you know, and couldn't get a bolt or something. But in this case, it come out of there pretty easy. So we're going to go ahead and we'll just get a replacement and do the reverse process here. Okay, so going back in here, we're going to go the same way like taking it out. We're going to feed it down through here and connect our little wire harness with our 13 or 10 before we go to fastening it down. So I'm just going to work it back into place here. Okay, so we've just slipped this connector right back over the studs here, and I've just kind of got a hammer holding it in place so it doesn't fall while I'm putting these back on. And this just makes it a little bit easier as far as not having to fight with these and going through it with the hoses there and everything. So once we get them, well, and it just fell on me, but anyways, I'm going to go ahead and just finish tightening these downs here, and then we'll go to working it back into place. Okay, so I've just snugged those down one-handed, and we're just going to go ahead and slip it back into place here. Okay, so it did take a little bit of wiggling just to get the dowel pins to line back up, but you can see that you can look from the front and just kind of feel the back and just kind of wiggle it down into place. So we're ready to go ahead and get this first bolt into the front here now. I just kind of use my magnet to get that first one started too. Okay, so now I'm just hand tightening these in at the moment, and it's kind of hard to show you this one here, but it's back here in the back. I'm just going to hand tighten them, then I'll come back and finish snugging them. Okay, like I said, this front one, okay, I lost my light there. This front one's a little bit more difficult, but I'm just using a ratchet wrench and getting in through here, but just, you know, get it as tight as you can get it, and that's all you can do. Okay, so we're all done there. Everything is snugged down. It looks good. We're all there, so now we're just ready to go ahead and put our air box back in here. It's just not a big deal. Okay, so we got these pegs. They're going to go in the rubber grommets right there, and then of course we've got this bolt here. And I just put it back in there so it didn't get lost, and then we got to slide it back onto that. And so we're just going ahead and going to get this into place here now. Okay, and I will say it's easier just to get this going first and then look at your pegs and make sure they're lining up, and then work on getting this here into place. And just make sure that it's snapped down fully, and then just line your bolt up here back up, your 10mm, and get it secured. Alright, so we're just tightening the 10mm over here, and got my helper. He's working on that. And we got to make sure to fasten this connector here back. Now we're going to tighten this band right here. Okay, so now we're just tightening this band on this hose right here. Okay, so like I was talking about replacing these, you just want to go get you some hose from your parts store, and I just cut off a little piece, and we're just going to take and replace those because they're getting really dry rotted and bad. Okay, and there's, you know, I've just cut a couple pieces of hoses and put a little bit of grease. These are really tight and it'll make it easier to go on. But this piece down here, as far as it goes, I'm gonna have to get creative or see if I can't find an elbow for that, because I don't have anything just handy. But we're gonna go ahead now and just work on getting our battery box back in here. Okay, and I was just tightening these 7mm here for the battery box. And the only thing we have left is just getting our battery back in here. So that's it for this project. And I mean, you can see it's very easy to replace the alternator. I mean, the starter on here. It's not a big deal. Not too hard to wiggle it out of there. And like I said, hopefully this has been helpful. And if you like the video, you know, give it a thumbs up. And I invite you to subscribe. And thank you for watching.